Hello,
Hi.
welcome to Cliff Alerts. Today we're going to be talking about OWN Network's reality-based TV series, Put a Ring on It, Season 3, Episode 4,
We're dealing with Charlena and
Otis.
But before we begin, would like to ask you if you could subscribe, like, share our channel, and if you could also leave comments, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and speaking of Otis began this episode with in their group session with Dr. Nicole, explaining why there are times where he felt like he had to scold Charlena, and that even when he did, he said that Charlena felt a certain way about things that were not accurate as far as he was concerned, and not truthful the majority of the time.
This is a grown man saying that he is scolded an adult woman. He is
like he's the
living
parent,
it.
like he's the damn parent, and she's the kid,
and
she's the
the
child. But he justified it by saying he felt like he needed to do it because she didn't process things the way that he did, and didn't respond or react the way that he thought she should have reacted. So that made him justified in scolding her.
Well, we didn't get scolded.
Well,
we got the beat down.
Parents put their hands on you for real, and meant with intention.
With a lot of intention.
Upside the head,
and
in the ass, all kinds of.
I had a lot of that
Right?
situation going on.
Yeah, you traumatized by some of that. I remember you telling me.
Because I was a problem child. I didn't think that we should be friends or would ever be friends.
She was parent first.
She was about the business.
Parent first, friend later.
But it is what it is. I'm here, I'm alive. I'm in good mental health.
Until that recall kicks in. From time to time.
Woo! Lord God, help me, Jesus. But anywho, Otis, as I said, dominates Charlena. But in this episode, I saw a little bit of mustard coming from Charlena as well.
Yeah, but hold on before we get there, because I wasn't quite finished with dealing with Otis. Otis came off as condescending. He came off as rude. He came off as arrogant. He came off as dismissive. He came off as a whole lot of things, especially not only to Charlena or Charlie, but more importantly to Dr. Nicole.
It's disrespectful in the dismissive way he chose to speak to her. Particularly when she was pointing out his flaws.
Right, exactly, and his part in why it is that she's feeling a certain way that she feels, and then responding based on that.
Yeah, and she pointed out that tit for tat sort of passive aggressive vibe they both are on, and she questioned their honesty with how they deal with each other,
right,
and whether they have fair conversations,
right,
because she can tell they're couple that is well versed in passive aggressive movement and conversation.
So what makes him think that it's okay for him to come at somebody who's trying to professionally help him and Charlena decide what it is that's going to be best for both of them, whether it be moving forward down the road together or separating?
But if you have that attitude, you're not going to respect anything coming from any woman's mouth, particularly Dr. Nicole, because she's going to not sugarcoat it. She's going to highlight his flaws, and that will be hard for someone who has been moving the way Otis moves with Charlena. That's a non-starter. He knows how to oppress her, but outside of their little situation that they have at the house, he can't dominate anybody else.
Well, he thinks under the guise of traditionalism that's part of his role. That's the proper thing to do.
He doesn't know what that means. He uses that in order to oppress her and to keep her under some kind of control.
And he also conducts himself that way, in my opinion, with Milan. And that to me, he did so. Some of his response and conversations is designed to manipulate and garner a reaction out of Charlie.
Yeah, well, for me, what I see from Otis using dating to just play mind games with Charlena, in how he withholds information regarding the date, how he talks about certain things, and they operate in such a toxic environment that it's a tit for tat, as Charlena admitted. They go after it. The situation with Charlena getting up early to go to yoga and she's drinking tequila sometime
Shot.
early in the morning. What does that say?
That says she's not comfortable with things as they are, so she needs some kind of aid for her to cope. For me, was that while I agree he's doing now all of that with his girlfriend of 3 years, Charlie, he's also doing that with Milan as well. He's setting the stage he's laying the groundwork for that.
Charlena talks about, oh, Milan is young. Is that where Otis hangs out? Young girls, young women who don't know who they are just yet, who are trying to figure their lives out.
It can be manipulated.
And can be easily manipulated.
Under the guise of traditionalism.
Exactly. I just think that Otis has a sinister element that doesn't make him safe around any young woman.
Right. I just didn't like the way he came off at somebody who's trying to help his ass. That's all I'm saying. So that kind of did not look good as far as I was concerned.
And then when we do go to the date, you see Charlena acting out that passive aggressive thing that she was having a back and forth with Otis at the yoga studio. And prior to that, in her confessional, she kept downgrading Milan. Oh, she's a little girl, and she don't know how to take care of him, or yada yada
not
yada,
his type.
not his type. And she's so wrapped up in her head, even though she said she liked Brent.
Mm-hmm.
In a date with Brent, she didn't focus on him. Her entire being was focused on Otis and what he was doing with Milan. She was very jealous of their closeness and how they performed at the yoga studio. So although we see Otis being dominant over her, she has her issues as well, which came out. And she's also one to watch, so we don't know if her immaturity is part of what she's saying, but her conversation regarding Milan did not make her look good. And there was something about having a tequila shot to go to a yoga studio early in the morning that could be troubling.
Yeah, and from my vantage point, Brent kind of fed into that just a little bit in his confessional.
Yeah, because her energy influenced him.
He admitted, I think, in his confessional that he was kind of trying to make Otis and Milan a little jealous.
I just think that neither Otis or Charlena is interested in Milan or Brent. I think that they are playing off of each other. As Charlena admitted, they like to go tit for tat and up the ante on each other, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Right, and later on, I think Charlena, or maybe it was prior to, I don't know, but Charlena referenced in one of her confessionals that there are issues that they have to work on. One of them is pettiness.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is this passive aggressive behavior that they tend to exhibit towards one another to get the next one up,
mm-hmm.
kind of on their partner,
mm-hmm.
and it's just not a good look from my end.
Right, because it's not only Otis that's exhibiting toxic behavior. Charlena is doing that as well.
Right, exactly. So overall, they got a long way to go, and they got some work to do if they are going to move in the direction of him putting a ring on it, and them moving down the road as people who are engaged with one another, moving towards marriage. They have a long way to go, and from my end, that begins with some things that Otis has to deal with and get right before he can even be in a position to deal with that next step. And that next step is going to require him to think about this whole idea of traditionalism and his role as a man within the course of a relationship a little differently than he does now.
Well, perhaps both Otis and Charlena during the period of this season will get some awareness, because you can't admit to something you're not aware of.
That's all I got.
That's all I have too. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting. I just want you guys to know that you're a blessing to us. So we thank you for it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.